It happened 2 years ago, but it still plays in my mind like a scene from a movie, one I never want to star in. I was 31 at the time, a regular guy with a solid job as an IT project manager. I wasn't flashy or rich, but I had my life in order. Then came Allison. She was 28, beautiful, charming, and from one of the most powerful families in the city. Her father was a judge. Her mother ran high-profile charity events. Her brother was a rising name in local politics. Their family name was engraved on buildings. Mine was barely known outside my office. But none of that mattered to me back then. Not when I thought I had found something real. We'd been seeing each other for 6 months. It felt serious. She had stuff at my place. I had a drawer at hers. We spent weekends together, texted every day. I thought we were building something, growing close. I never questioned it. One Friday night, I was supposed to hang out with a college friend, but he canceled last minute after getting food poisoning. I figured, why not surprise Allison? I knew she was out with her girlfriends at a place called the Compass. I wanted to swing by, maybe grab a drink, say hello, a sweet gesture, I thought, but what I walked into was something else entirely. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw her at the bar, not with girlfriends, but with some guy I'd never seen before. They weren't just chatting. His hands were around her waist. She was touching his chest. And then, right before my eyes, they kissed. I approached, confused, heart racing. I barely managed to say her name, Allison. For a split second, I saw it in her eyes, recognition. Then, like a switch flipped, her face hardened. She looked right through me. "Can I help you?" she asked, like I was some random stranger. I stood there, stunned. "What's going on?" I managed to ask, glancing between her and the guy. He straightened up, putting on a protective stance. "Everything okay, Ollie?" he said. Ollie. She never let me call her that. I pointed between her and me. "We're together." That's when she did something I still can't fully believe. She let out this cold laugh, turned toward the bar crowd, and shouted, "Someone call security. This creep's been following me all night." Everything stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. The whole bar turned to look at me. Before I could say a word, 2 bouncers stormed over. I tried explaining, tried telling them we were together, but they didn't care. "Sir, you need to leave," one said as they grabbed me and dragged me toward the door. I looked at Allison, hoping, praying she'd stop this madness. But she stared me dead in the eyes and said, "I've never seen this man before in my life." Then the door slammed behind me. I stood there in the rain, soaked and humiliated, like a joke the universe forgot to explain. I didn't text her, didn't call, I didn't even cry. Something inside me shut off, not from heartbreak, but from the kind of clarity that only betrayal can bring. The next week, I became someone else, someone colder, sharper. I pulled together every piece of proof I had. Text threads, emails, photos, receipts from weekends away, screenshots of her social media posts about me. I archived everything, made 3 copies, one digital, one physical at my place, and one that I had bound like a legal brief. Then I dug deeper. Turns out I wasn't the only guy. There were 3 others. The guy from the bar, one working at her family's law firm, and another from her dad's political circle. None of us had any idea about each other. I wasn't just cheated on, I was played. I mailed the bound copy to her father's office, addressed directly to Judge last name, with a note, "Your daughter's character documented. This goes public tomorrow unless you and Allison meet me at my apartment. 7 p.m. sharp. Alone." Less than an hour later, the judge called me himself. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he barked. "I'm guessing you got my package." I replied, calm as stone, "This is blackmail. I could have you arrested." "It's not blackmail, Judge. It's the truth. I haven't asked for money. But if you prefer I send it to your law firm partners, the Bar Association, your wife's charity board, and your kids' college admissions officers, that's your call." Silence. "What do you want?" he finally asked, voice lower now, not nearly as tough. "You and Allison. At my apartment. 7 p.m., like I said in the note. If not, everything goes public tonight. I hung up. They showed up right on time. The judge looked like he was chewing glass. Allison looked like she hadn't slept in days. I didn't invite them in, just stood in the doorway. You have 5 minutes. The judge snapped. No, I have as long as I need, I said, but I'll make it quick. I looked straight at Allison. Last week, you publicly humiliated me, had me thrown out of a bar while pretending I was stalking you. We were together for 6 months. You know that. Then I find out you were seeing 3 other guys behind my back. You're lying, she said, her voice shaky. You've been stalking me. I cut her off. Everything in that file is time-stamped and verified. I don't care what you try to say now. I turned to both of them. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the Compass. You, Allison, will stand in front of the same crowd, the same bouncers, and publicly admit what you did. You'll apologize for lying, cheating, and humiliating me. You're insane if you think I'll... She started. You will. Her father cut her off. His voice was cold, resigned. And then this ends. I keep the files as insurance. I added, they stay with me, but they don't go public if she follows through. They left. That night, Allison blew up my phone, texts, missed calls, voicemails, pleading, you can't do this to me. My father will destroy me. Please. He'll fire me. He's already threatening to ruin my life. I ignored every message. And the next night, she showed up. I got to the bar early that night. The same bouncers were working, but they didn't recognize me. The place was already packed, shoulder-to-shoulder energy, glasses clinking, conversations buzzing. But I stood still, calm, watching the door. At exactly 8 p.m., Allison walked in alone. She scanned the room until she saw me, then came over with stiff steps and a tight jaw. Let's get this over with, she muttered through clenched teeth. Not yet, I said, coolly. We're waiting for someone. She didn't even have time to ask who before. Right on cue at 8:15, the guy she'd been with at the bar that night, the one she kissed, walked in with his group of friends. The same man who had called her Ollie. She visibly flinched at the sight of him. Perfect timing, I said as I stood and walked toward the center of the bar. The room buzzed around us, but I could feel the weight of what was about to happen. Excuse me, everyone, I called out, voice steady, projecting over the noise. Conversation slowed, then stopped. Heads turned. People began to recognize me. The air grew still. Allison followed a step behind, frozen, as if every eye in the room had landed on her and turned the oxygen off. Last Friday, I was thrown out of this bar after this woman. I gestured toward her, claimed I was a stranger stalking her. Murmurs started immediately. I pressed on, louder now. In truth, we had been in a relationship for 6 months. She lied to your faces, had me humiliated, dragged out by force, all because she got caught. The bouncers looked visibly uncomfortable. A few patrons gasped quietly. I turned toward Allison and said simply, your turn. Her face was flushed red, trembling with shame and rage. She mumbled something I couldn't hear. Louder, I said, so everyone can hear you. She hesitated, swallowed hard, and finally raised her voice. It's true. We were dating, she said, almost spitting the words out. I lied when I said I didn't know him. I pushed him away and pretended he was stalking me. I shouldn't have had you thrown out. I looked at the bouncers then. That's what she said last week when you removed me. I wasn't a stranger. I wasn't a threat. She was cheating and got caught. There was silence. Then one of the bouncers, a guy who had physically dragged me out into the rain, actually walked over and apologized. I nodded, turned to Allison, and simply said, we're done here. And I walked out. But I wasn't done. Not really. That night, I sent the full file to the managing partners at her family's law firm. I sent it to the Bar Association's ethics committee. I sent it to her direct supervisor at work. Everything, the screenshots, the emails, the photos, the receipts. The truth, clean and sharp like a knife. By the next morning, she was fired. Within days, the story spread like wildfire through her family's social circles. The whispers, the gossip, the disgrace. They were all living in the shadow of the very lie she screamed that night. 3 weeks passed. Then one Sunday morning, my doorbell rang. Standing on my front step was the entire Thompson family. The judge, the charity queen, Allison, her two siblings. No assistants, no drivers. Just them, awkward, exhausted, ashamed. "May we come in?" the judge asked, and for the first time, he didn't sound like someone who ruled courtrooms. He sounded like a man asking for mercy. I let them in. "What you did was wrong," he said once we were inside. "Blackmail is a crime." Yeah, I admitted it was. I was hurt, humiliated, and I wanted her to feel what I felt. It wasn't my proudest moment. Her mother was quiet. What Allison did was wrong, too. We didn't raise her to behave like this. Allison sat still, staring at the floor like it was the only thing holding her together. "You've damaged our entire family," the judge said. "My reputation, my wife's work, my son's political career, my daughter's college applications." I only meant to hurt Allison. I said honestly, "Not all of you." "We're here as a family," her mother replied softly, "even when one of us does something terrible." Allison finally lifted her head. Her eyes were glassy, voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry. What I did at the pub, it was cruel." Then the judge spoke again. "We're asking you to remove the documents from circulation." Allison's lost her job, her reputation. She's agreed to go to therapy. We just want a chance to rebuild without this hanging over us. I paused. The fire inside me, the cold, calculating part that had carried me this far, was flickering out. I didn't like who I'd become through all this. Not really. I'd won, sure, but the win felt dirty. I was wrong to blackmail you. I told them. I recall the documents. Not for Allison, but because I don't want to be that person anymore. They thanked me quietly and left. That same day, I sent emails retracting the claims I'd made. I said I had acted out of personal grievance, that some of what I shared was misleading. I didn't clear her name completely, but I gave them enough to breathe. I never spoke to Allison again, never saw her. Heard she moved to another city not long after. The judge retired the following year. Their family name took a hit, but it didn't collapse. They recovered, more or less. As for me, I moved too, started fresh. A new city, a quieter life. But sometimes, on long walks or in moments of quiet, I think back to that night in the rain, the look in her eyes, the look in mine. I learned something I didn't know about myself. There's a darker side in all of us, a version that wakes up only when we're betrayed beyond reason, a version that doesn't scream or break things, but plans, calculates, executes. And when the dust settles, it's not pride you feel, it's emptiness. The revenge felt good for a moment, but afterward, I realized I hadn't just burned a bridge. I'd scorched a piece of myself, too. If I could go back, I'd still hold her accountable. But I'd find a better way to do it. Because no matter how justified you feel in the moment, becoming someone you don't recognize is never worth it.